Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today we're going to be looking at one of the top topics that I get asked about in my lessons, the CAGED system. So we're going to look at what it is and how you can use it to enhance your lead guitar playing. Today's video is essentially a preview of a little snippet of a course that I'm currently in the process of putting together for the Udemy tuition platform. So if you like what you see and hear in today's video, then just keep your eyes peeled and your ears open for when that course is launched. I'll be sure to let you know. Now, before we get into it today, I just need to kind of lay out the sort of ground for this. Basically, you're going to need to know your 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, and you're going to need to know what is going on in terms of relative majors and minors. So if you're not clear on any of those topics, then can I humbly recommend that you watch the video entitled Everything You Need to Know About the Pentatonic Scale that I made a while ago, which is linked in the description box below, along with a few other things, as you'll find out later. So, before we go any further, I guess what we need is to take a look at the backing track that we'll be using for this little lesson today. So, here it is. So obviously you could use D minor pentatonic over the top of all of that, but the CAGED system just gives you a few more options, well, a lot more options really, to make the guitar solo that you play over a track like that just sound a little bit more tailored and melodic, and like it fits the chord sequence a little bit more kind of musically, melodically, whatever. So let's take a look at what the course is telling us about the CAGED system and how we can play over the top of that jam track using it. Here it is. Okay then, here are the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, and you can see I've arranged them here starting with position 4, then 5, 1, 2 and 3. So why have I done it like that? Well, we're dealing with the CAGED system here, and looking within position number 4, you can see that there is a C shape, a C major chord shape. And if you know your relative majors and minors, you should also be able to spot that also within that pattern there is an A minor chord shape, which is the relative minor of C major. So hence that's why we started on position 4, because we're basing it around a C chord and its relative minor. Moving on to the next one, you can see that there is an A major shape kind of living within inside what would normally be called position 5. And what's the relative minor of A major? Well, it's an F sharp minor, and we don't have an F sharp minor in there, but we do have an F sharp minor 7th, which, as near as makes no difference, is the same thing. So again, we've got the A major and its relative minor inside that particular pattern there. Moving on to the next one, we've got a G major chord shape kind of present within what we would normally call position 1. What's the relative minor of G major? Well, it's an E minor, and there that is inside the same pattern too. Next pattern, you can see that there is an E major chord shape in there, which it kind of helps in some ways to think of that as an F chord shape, which is just basically the same shape as an E, but you would be barring it at the first fret. So we're going to think of that as an E major, F major chord shape. But either way, it's kind of living there within that pattern of the pentatonic scale. What's the relative minor of F major? Well, it's a D minor, and there is that chord shape kind of hiding within that same pattern as well. Finally, we move on to this pattern here, what we would normally call pattern 3, and living within inside that there is a D major chord shape. And what's the relative minor of D major? Well, it's a B minor, and once again we have a B minor 7th living within that same chord shape. So what you do when you're soloing with these scale patterns rather, is you think in terms of the chord shape that you move up and down the neck along with the surrounding notes of the pentatonic pattern, and that enables you to kind of track the chord changes of whatever chord sequence you're playing over. And more importantly, what it allows you to do is to stay on the same part of the neck and track the chord changes. So you go from one chord shape to another chord shape to another chord shape, all on the same part of the neck. And as I say, you're kind of surrounding those chord shapes with the notes of the relevant pentatonic pattern, and you can essentially kind of keep up with the chord changes and play over the changes of the chord sequence without having to chase patterns up and down the neck and do all of these big position shifts that you would have to do if you were kind of moving just one scale pattern around to follow the chord changes, I beg your pardon. So here's an example of me doing this over the chord sequence that we'll be using for this particular lesson. Here it is. Okay, then here's a D minor chord and its surrounding pentatonic shape. Here's a G major chord and its surrounding pentatonic shape. Here's a C major chord and its surrounding pentatonic shape. And we're going to use the same shape as that for A minor. This would be an A minor 7th shape. And again, the surrounding pentatonic. And finally, we come to a B flat chord, B flat major, and its surrounding pentatonic shape. And now here's a few licks based around those pentatonic shapes and the chord shapes kind of lurking within them. So hopefully that makes everything reasonably clear, and what I'm going to show you now is just a genuine one take waltz and all guitar solo that I played over the entire backing track, about 3 minutes of that chord sequence that you heard earlier, and basically I'm just using the CAGED system and I'm kind of going around the neck, going from scale pattern to scale pattern. A lot of the licks that I'm doing are kind of slithering between two adjacent scale patterns, so where that's applicable you'll see 2 scale patterns on screen. And bear in mind as well that in terms of moving from one scale to another, it's not like I'm going from this scale to this scale and they're doing that. In a few cases they're actually doing that a little bit and just kind of bleeding into each other a little bit, which adds a bit more colour to the sound. Anyway, that's enough blethering from me. Here's the solo that I played. and you can download the jam track to have a go yourself from the description box below. And if you're wanting a tab for that solo, I'm afraid I haven't done it yet, so you'll just have to wait till the course is live on Udemy, and it will be part of the downloadable resources that you'll get with that course. So there you go, folks. That is very much my take on the CAGED system. I hope you found this informative, useful, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. And if you have, please give me a like and hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the notification bell as well. And I will take this opportunity now to say thank you for your time. Thank you so much for watching, and I do look forward to seeing you all again next time around. Bye for now, folks. And don't forget, before you go, to check out my Udemy courses, which you can see are available via my website, which is also where you can contact me to get in touch for some one-to-one tuition, either via Skype or in person if you live local to me. I also have merchandise available on my Teespring store, and of course all of the links are in the description. See you next time, chaps.